Print sports, bitch. Let's get it. What's up, guys? Prince Sports here for raw, uncut, unbiased sports talk. Now, I was thinking, something got me to thinking last night. I saw James Harden on post-game interview, and he said something that caught my attention. He said he's getting used to the idea of playing point guard, or he has to go back to playing point guard, has to limit his turnovers, this, that, and the third. So then I thought about that. I said, hold up. You guys already have a point guard. You have Kyrie Irving as your point guard. But James Harden saying that I got to get used to playing like a point guard. So that came down to the conclusion. Will there be chemistry issues with James Harden and Kyrie Irving? We already know James Harden and Kevin Durant works. We already know Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving works. So Kevin Durant is the complementary piece. He's the guy that could fit in with any aspect, okay? He's perfect. He's good. But James Harden and Kyrie Irving, some people may say, hey, those guys cancel each other out, right? It's a very interesting aspect to seeing, can these guys play together? Now I'm under the impression that any three superstars could work, all right, in certain cases, if they make sacrifices, but they have to be willing to make sacrifices. It's something that you have to be willing to do. And even if you're willing to make sacrifices, let's say James Harden and Kyrie Irving do make sacrifices, that may not be to your best of your ability, because you may not be playing that position that well. Or that may be a flaw in your game that you can't benefit from because you're just not good at it, So Kyrie went from being LeBron's sidekick to now you have to be considerably, the third best player on the team? That's what the Brooklyn Nets are going to be asking from you? Meaning you're going to get less touches, but you're a ball-dominant player, and you need touches, right? So maybe if this doesn't work, should we trade Kyrie Irving? Okay, now if we trade Kyrie Irving, a lot of names came to mind. You had like Bradley Beal, Damian Leonard, all types of stuff like that, right? But those guys are oxymoron because they cancel each other out. They play the same position. So what's the point? And they're both ball dominant. So why trade one ball dominant player for another one? But then I got to thinking. Somebody said this. I forget who it was. But they said Joel Embiid. Then I thought about it. I said, you know what? Joel Embiid should be the perfect complementary piece for KD and James Harden. For starters, James Harden, he plays good with bigs, with pick and rolls, okay? Lobs and all that good stuff. And he's a better passer than Kyrie Irving. He's a better playmaker than Kyrie Irving. So him with Embiid will fit well. Embiid is arguably one of the top best bigs in the game. So you will still have a big three. It won't be a sexy big three. It won't be a security blanket big three, because when you got a closer like Kyrie Irving and Kevin Durant, it gives you more of a security blanket. It gives that old factor, that woo factor, right? Like, man, this team can't be beat when you add Kyrie, James Harden, and Kevin Durant. It feels like that, or that big three feels like that. But when you add Joel Embiid to the Knicks, it's different. You may be like, okay, they got a big three, they should still win the championship. But I don't get that wow sensation that I get when it's with Kyrie Irving, right? But you may get something that you need more. If you get Embiid on that team and you tell him to make the sacrifice, hey, get down low more, play defense, be a rim protector. That's probably what they need more than anything, okay? Because you got two guys that could score in James Harden and Kevin Durant. Then this makes Kevin Durant's role even more sustainable. You're the closer. Game's on the line. Kevin Durant, you should be the closer. James Harden, you should be the secondary. Okay? You got to be the number two. You can't be the number one. You got to be the number two. Okay? Because Kevin Durant is the one with, more hardware. So he should be the closer like he did last night. He closed. But nevertheless, we're going to see how this big three works out because Kyrie Irving will make his return tomorrow, Wednesday night. And we can finally get to see the big three play against each other, which is going to be interesting. Okay, we've been waiting to see the big three play against each other. And that should be interesting. I want to see how that plays out. Now, you don't want to disrupt this team before it even gets started. You want to see how it plays out first, right? You want to see how they gel, how they blend in with each other first. That's the first and foremost thing that you need to find out. But if it don't work out, right, there's chemistry issues. You know, a security blanket removed because Kyrie Irving doesn't show up or whatever, have issues with the team. If you want to get rid of the head case, or if Kyrie Irving presents more problems and becomes problematic in the future, what you want to do is trade him. And trade him while you got good value. Because if you get MB, you can't just take MB because the money don't match. You need to take more. You have to take MB and a couple more pieces. And that gives Brooklyn an all-star and more depth. Makes more sense. Prince Sports out. What do you think? Should Kyrie Irving be traded?